Hey yo. Alright. I got my Ancestry results back. Let's check it out. Summary. Ancestral regions. Let's check out my regions.
You is from Africa, kitten.
51% Germanic Europe. 15% France. 12% Central and Eastern Europe. 8% England and Northwestern Europe. Then it says Channel Islands beneath that. 8% Scottish. 3% Danish, Denmark. So that means that's Amsterdam, right? Netherlands. 2% Irish. That's the biggest surprise out of all of this. You would think with the reddish, orangish hair, I would be more Irish. But apparently I'm more Scottish than I am Irish. And I guess I'm pretty surprised that I'm 50% Germanic. I thought it would have been, well, I guess I'm not that surprised, but just a little surprised with the smaller other numbers. So I guess I'm mainly German. And then we got 1% Southern Italy and the Eastern Mediterranean. I've certainly never been to Italy, but it seems like I'm more. Let me check this out. France. What the hell? I never thought much about my French heritage at all. I want to see this one. Okay. England and Northwestern Europe. Your ancestral region estimate is 8%, but it can range from 7 to 29%. I'm not sure why it says Channel Islands. The history of Britain, the heart of our England and Northwestern region, is often represented as one group of invaders after another, displacing the native population. The Romans, Anglo-Saxons, Vikings, and Normans all left their mark on Britain, both politically and culturally. However, the story of Britain is far more complex. In fact, more studies suggest the earliest populations weren't wiped out but adapted and absorbed the new arrivals. Yeah, that sounds about right. Where do people in this... Okay. Interesting. So I guess they got me in this heart. Fucking, they got me over here in England. What the hell? Not in Wales. I thought I'd be. So I'm on the right side of England. Damn it, this map sucks. So then there's Netherlands. Anyways, let me go back. Our biggest update ever. We're excited to introduce 24 new regions. Okay, cool, bro. Let's check out the Germanic spots. They got me right up in here. So yeah, we came out of Germany, and it says I have some Netherlands in me too, right? Some France. So We're on this western side of Europe. Then Irish and Scotland. Let me check out the France one. 15% French. Interesting. Central Eastern Europe. So I got 12% in the Central and Eastern Europe. That means Croatia, Slovakia, Chechnya, Poland, possibly Ukraine. Oh, cool. But I don't know. So they're not saying Russia, but they're saying possibly Ukraine. So I guess that wouldn't mean Russian. It would be before the Russians were. I don't know, man. So I'm not Russian, just German. Let's check out Scotland. There we go. I'm 8% Scottish up in the northern lands there. 2 fingers to move them out. I've always wanted to visit Scotland. Next, 3% Denmark. There we go. So not quite the Netherlands, but actual Denmark. That's lame. Okay, never mind. I don't know. I always liked the Netherlands, but they're saying I'm more a Denmark man myself. And I know Denmark, aren't they the ones who own Greenland right now, and they're not trying to sell it? There's little Greenland. Am I wrong? Greenland's pretty big. And what else? 2% Irish. There's a big surprise to me. I thought I would be more Irish, but I'm more Scottish than I am Irish. And they don't exactly say which part of Ireland I'm from, so. But the more I explore this ancestry thing, maybe I'll find out more specifics about it. Alright, let me go back to this one where it says England and Northwestern Europe. I didn't know I was really in England at one point. So yeah, it says we came from England, Scotland, and Irish. So I have DNA from this whole region. England, Scottish, and Irish. And then 1% Southern Italy. So God knows what that's about. Down here in fucking Syracuse. It's pretty cool. At least we got out. My ancestors traveled a little bit. What else is there to see on here? Let's go to my journeys. 2 ancestor journeys. Learn where my ancestors likely lived and moved in the past 300 years. So yeah, I know my mother is from Maine. So this one says Northern New England settlers, Southern Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont settlers. So that's where my mom came from. Southeastern Quebec, French settlers. Whoa. Coming to New France, 700 to 1725. Most early immigrants to New France, modern day Quebec, were either soldiers or fur traders called couriers des bois, who lived and worked deep in the interior. Two-thirds returned to Europe after making their fortune, but others stayed and laid the foundations for future arrivals. They transplanted France's feudal land tenure system called seigneurialism, whatever, which granted lands to local lords, who then granted tracts to habitant farmers in exchange for feudal dues. Most immigrants who arrived after 1700 took to farming these tracts rather than fur trading. Almost all migrants to New France were French and Catholic. Actually, let me go to the overview first. Among the earliest settlers in North America, the French Canadians have long been associated with the woods and rural spaces. Well, yeah, we do love the woods. Came for the fur trade. They soon settled on the banks of the St. Lawrence River. From there, moved to rural New England and Michigan in search of work in timbering and pulp and paper. They became renowned for their prowess and carved a place for themselves in the rural North while combating both ethnic prejudice and nature. So yeah, my settlers sounds like they didn't go to Michigan or New England, but my mom's family stayed in Maine. Farming the St. Lawrence. Thriving cities grew from the old foundations at Quebec City and Montreal, where French merchants grew rich trading with and often marrying local peoples. Most French Canadians, however, farmed along the St. Lawrence River on long, thin tracts called ribbon farms. Men typically built houses and barns and planted harvested wheat, while women typically managed the home, tended vegetable gardens, and livestock. So yeah, my mom said she grew up on a farm, but this is 1725, so let's move up in the timeline. The years during and after the Seven Wars were a difficult time for French Canadians. British blockades made food and goods of all kinds more expensive, and British conquest of Canada. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, I should care about all this, right? Fucking yeah. So the British were still fucking with us. Beginnings of change. Birth and fertility rates were high and population ballooned. Children lived close to parents when possible, but the expanding population pushed many settle further downriver or cut tracks out of the woods, out of the Quebec woods. French Canadian folk life. The growing population and a string of crop failures began to wear on inhabitants. Okay. 1825. Flight to the forest. The situation along the St. Lawrence was getting worse. Land scarcity, crop failures, and economic depression forced even full-time farmers to find seasonal work or meet their family needs. Some moved to cities like Quebec or Montreal, but other Canadian men moved south. So yeah, I guess my people were the ones who moved south in search of work. America, yeah. I have family in the lumber industry in Maine, I guess. I don't know. Let's keep going. Lumberjacks in rural factories. Many French Canadians moved into cultural enclaves called Little Canadas in America, industrial centers where factories promised steady jobs in the mill town, or Manchester, New Hampshire, for example. The French lived on the west side of the St. Mary Church as the community center. Others opted for rural labor in Maine or Michigan. So that's where my mom came from, her family. Where in smaller towns they sometimes made up half the population here. American businessmen often refused to hire the men for factory labor, stereotyping them as wild folk. French Canadians dominated the lumber camps, however, becoming the epitome of the lumberjack, while women and children worked in the pulp and paper factory. So there's my ancestors right there, the wild men who became fucking timber factory workers. 1900, hard work, hard times. French Canadian workers experienced exploitation in the woods and cities like long hours, low pay, cramped conditions pervaded the urban little Canadas. However, the enclaves also allowed them to start French newspapers, schools, and clubs, and to resist nativist movement that tried to ban French in schools and break up little Canada's rural and small town. French Canadians had fewer protections. Lumber bosses cheated them out of their wages and bound them into debt. Peonage. Lumberjacks called their dangerous job the Widowmaker and ate gargantuan meals upwards of 1,200 calories a day to keep pace with the intense work. The Widowmaker, eh? That's my fucking ancestry. Americanization in the new era. The lumber industry collapsed after the First World War, leaving men and women alike to scrounge for low-paying jobs to support their families. English-speaking bosses often passed over French Canadians, preferring to hire other Americans before them. Rural French often anglicized their names and stopped teaching their children French, and children could be punished for speaking French in school. But despite efforts to ignore and erase them, French Canadians remained the largest ethnic group in the places like Lewiston, Maine, and Plattsburgh, New York. So I'm not sure what part of Maine. I'm pretty sure my mom came from Portland, Maine, honestly. And I don't know how far that is from Lewiston. Okay. Little Canada's incubated poetry and art that spread into the broader nation, and folk songs and literature cemented the French woodman's place in America's past. So yeah, I kind of already knew that. And, that's 1925. My mom was born in like 1950 something. So there it goes. There's the fucking timeline, man. And then whatever time my mom moved to the Pacific Northwest, met my dad in the military. They were both working in different branches of the military. And then I was born in Tacoma, Washington. So here's the map. We settled in this area, the dark blue of whatever this is, the wildlands of northern Maine and southern Canada, Quebec. And then I guess Portland, Maine is somewhere up, I don't know. It's interesting. It's all interesting. So at one point I was an East Coast motherfucker, and then they don't tell us about the journey, how we got to the Pacific Northwest. So I'm interested about if we were on the Oregon Trail or what. Because it only says 2 journeys. 2 ancestral journeys. Anyways, this has been kind of a long video. 20 minutes. I feel like I could go more into this, but I'm not sure what else there is to see at this point. View all places tested. Your DNA results with more detail than ever. Big loading screen. 8 new regions in Africa. 5 new regions in Europe. 3 new regions in West Asia. Alright, well, I guess I'm going to leave it there for now. Unless I figure out something else. But it's nice to know my heritage here. Peace out. Catch you later.